Miles, thanks for joining here. Super pumped about having you join the Mailshake Masterclass. And I've been a big fan of your work. I've been following you. I think we reached out over email a few months ago, but I know you as this master kind of sales outreach automation and follow up. You seem to have a really, really good pulse. And what I really like about your stuff is that it's super actionable and you like share the exact process you use. You're a marketer or growth marketer at Salesflare. Thanks for joining. You mind telling everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me, Sujan. So yeah, my name is Gilles. In English, people call me Gilles, so that wasn't wrong or something. But yeah, I'm the growth guy for Salesflare. We're still a small Belgian startup. We're building a smart CRM that thinks and works for you. So the idea behind it is like a CRM is supposed to make following up on people and prospects and leads customers at the same time very easy. But what we find is that most CRMs achieve the opposite effects. Like you have to spend a lot of time keeping it up to date. And we want to, at Salesforce, we want to solve that by automating all that stupid stuff, that robot work, so you can actually focus on talking to as many people as possible, make your sales more human, and build more relationships and make more sales. So I think the reason I'm here is because I've been writing some stuff about how to automate your sales funnels and your outreach while still up to the point where you have to be a human being to really build relationships with people. Because don't make no mistake, like you can automate a lot of stuff, but in the end, it's about being human that will give you the edge over in building relationships with people at scale.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm glad you said that because I truly believe that at the end of the day, it's relationships and that showing that human side, but figuring out a way to kind of automate that. So I want to lead with one thing. I think if people stop watching it now or in 2 minutes, they can walk away with something. So what's your number one advice, or what's one big piece of advice you can share for sales reps that are doing sales prospecting?
My number one advice is offer value. The thing I've come to learn the hard way is that nobody likes to spend time in their email inboxes. Like you're not planning your day and saying, "Hey, I'm so much looking forward to that. I have to go through all my emails." So your best chance to make it through the noise is to not ask for them to invest more time and energy. It's to give something of value. For example, like most emails, the emails I was sending in the beginning was like, I was like reaching out to influencers and I was saying like, "Hey, we made this product. I think it would be interesting to you. Can you please check it out and leave us some feedback?" But why doesn't that work? Because those people, they don't know you, they don't know your product, and you're asking them to invest time and energy into something while they have no idea who you are. So put yourself in their shoes. Or think about it like this: if a total stranger comes up to you on the street, and you ask them to do something for you, would you do it? Yeah, probably not. And then if you're a marketer and a sales guy, they will definitely not do it because we have the worst reputations in the world. So you need to approach emails and email outreach, initial outreach, as the first step to building a relationship, to building trust. You're only at the top of the funnel, like it's awareness. They don't know you yet. So your number one goal is to build trust. And your first email is your first and probably only shot at getting a foothold with someone to make a good first impression and to plant the seed of a relationship. Or you can just blow it from the start and never have a relationship in the first place. So what a lot of people say to me about that is that like, "Hey, but I just want to automate stuff and I will just get the people that do reply to me and I don't care about all the people I put off." They consider it like collateral damage, but that's very dangerous because don't underestimate the effects this attitude can have, because people talk and this will really hurt your brand. And you can probably never market to these people again. So what do you send them? Well, figure out what kind of value, what is of value to them, because in order to offer value, you need to know what is of value to them. So you need to really know your audience. You need to do your homework. And for example, like if you're selling software, you're targeting design agency founders. You can send them like a piece of content that outlines like a case study of a design agency using your software and what the results are. You can invite them in a Facebook group you're running or another type of community. Maybe mention that there's other people like them in there. the key is to adapt a one-on-one approach and make the prospect feel like you're really personally involved in solving their problems. And then from them on, when you have something going, when they reply to you, you can guide them through your funnel. You can send them more content. You can have them read your blog. You can retarget them with Facebook ads. You can set up retargeting funnels. You can invite them to webinars. Yeah, that's about it, I think, for number one advice. Offer value.
Yeah,
See it as a build relationship.
It's probably the simplest and most important thing here, because you said you only have one chance, right? Like, I don't care how many follow-up emails you send me. First of all, most of them are nested, so I know that you're following up. And if you don't get me on the first one, there's no chance you're going to get somebody on the third, fourth, fifth, 10th, 100th one, right? Like, you've lost them. So that's, I think, a very, very good thing. And it's, coming up with what's valuable or something valuable to somebody might take hours and hours and hours of hitting you head against the wall, brainstorming. So you can set up the right funnel, but if you don't have the value, nothing matters. So
you have to get them in the funnel in the first place.
Exactly. So let's switch gears to talking about the funnel or the flow. Like, what is, so obviously you guys do a lot of outbound, and you've kind of learned the hard way about doing it the wrong way. How do you think about like kind of setting up the automation flow? So you figured out the value. You're now wanting to set up this automation flow. What do you do next? How do you get started?
So basically the philosophy we follow is, and this is also what we follow when designing and building sales fairs, we automate to scale reach, but we switch to human mode when it comes to building relationships. So use automation to enable yourself to talk to as many as possible. Mm-hmm. That's where you win time, and then so you scale your reach, and every human contact you get back, it has to be you to jump up on it. So think about it this way: like, if you have like a list of 1,000 leads, let's go back to the design agency founders. Their founders, their industry, their company size more or less, their industry, so what kind of value they are, but you don't know these people yet. So basically your first email is a hello and an offer of your value. But those 1,000 emails, they're basically all going to be the same because you have no context yet. You don't know these people yet. So those 1,000 emails aren't going to be very different. So you might as well automate them. If you have a sequence, the same logic goes for when you have a sequence. Imagine like you set up a sequence for to send a second email when they haven't followed up, when they haven't gotten back to you in 3 days. It's the same exact idea. You have no input yet from them, so it's you. So that's stuff you can automate. But from the moment they answer, it has to be all you. When the conversation starts, you have to be a human being, because that's when you are really dealing with a real person. So the first email has to give them an idea of how you can help them, what you can do to them, and if they respond positively to that, you basically have a go of. They're basically giving you a go to build a relationship with them, and that's where you establish common ground and you start building a relationship. So, for example, to make it more specific, we automate our outreach with Mailshake. We set up the lead catcher, so that when people reply, Mailshake captures them as a lead, and then we have it pushed to Salesforce or CRM, and from there we then can easily follow up. It comes into our pipeline, and from there on we just follow our usual flow. And this works smoothly because we barely have to spend energy on reaching all those people, but the people that actually get back to us, we can save our energy to build relationships with them from there on.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. I like that you have you're using the lead catcher and then pushing into your CRM to continue that conversation. So what do you think is like the biggest challenge when it comes to kind of setting up this outreach flow automation? I mean, okay, you can use tools, but really, what are the challenges? Is it the tools?
Well, there is challenge to the tools. Like, for example, you should definitely use a tool that sends emails from your Gmail account, like Mailshake does. Because if you use other automation tools like MailChimp, your email will probably, and a lot of other email tools than MailChimp, your email will probably end up in the spam folder, in the promotions folder. Also, make sure to not send out too many emails at once, because that will get your domain blacklisted. You can run into all kinds of troubles. But yeah, good tools. Schedule your emails so you don't have to worry about that, about crossing the limits. Again, the example here is Mailshake. Your emails just get scheduled so you don't cross the limits. Then you have to be like, you automate it, but The challenge is in personalization still. So first off, you should really segment your lists very well. So back to the 1,000 hellos you're going to send, they aren't going to be very different, but 1,000 hellos to a marketer of a SaaS startup is going to be different than 1,000 hellos to CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, because these people require other kinds of value, and they require another approach, and they have also other timing. Like if you're going to send an email to a marketer of a SaaS startup, he will probably reply to you within 10 minutes, while as CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, they get thousands of emails every day, so you might have to follow up 4 or 5 times before they actually get back to you. And that's not because they're ignoring you. That's just because their email got lost in clutter and confusion. So really tailor the message to the people you're emailing, and things like role, industry, company size, geography. Those are things you can take into account when crafting your message. And I don't mean this in the way that you should put the recipient's name in your email, because that's something that a lot of people do today. I also do it still, but to be fair, that's kind of like old game, like because everyone knows it's automated. It's not so much about so much about using that data to personalize the copy, like putting the actual name and name of the company. It's more using that to craft a perfect message for that person in that position, in that company, in that industry. And so, yeah, but to get this right, you probably will have to experiment a lot. So experiment a lot with the copy you sent and the subject lines you combine it with. So keep track of the different types of copy you've used, cross references with the audiences that you send it to. And then over time, you will have a huge data set, and that will tell you how to craft. Yeah, like if you keep track of all the open rates for the subject lines and the reply rates for your actual email and the value you're offering, that will tell you a lot and will make you get a lot better at sending tailored, personalized message to the right people.
Cool. And you said personalize the subject line, right? Obviously, like just name alone doesn't cut it. What other parts of the email do you personalize? Is it parts of it, or obviously segmenting is going to help you better organize it so you're doing the right personalization? That's one part. But do you personalize any other part of the email, or is it just case by case basis?
Yeah, like for example, the segmentation, because usually we usually send out content, and then you can pair like an industry, or like for example, again the design agency founders, small companies, they have specific problems when it comes to CRM. So you send them a use case so you personalize the content. Yeah, and it's mostly like also like you also keep track of the time zone. For example, if you're going to email people in London and you think the best time to deliver your email is at 9 a.m. in the morning, and you're in the United States, make sure that it is 9 a.m. in the morning when the emails are delivered.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also timing of follow-up. Keep into account that not everyone can follow up as quickly as you. Depends on the industry, depends on the company size. For the copy, for example, usually like a general rule, keep it short, but you can be a little more familiar with people from a SaaS startup than with people from a big accounting firm. They like it more formal, and they like dear, and they like kind regards in the end. Whereas to other people, like, hey man, what's up? Cheers. That works better with startup people.
Yeah.
So those are all kind of things you can use to personalize stuff that have a lot more impact than just putting their names, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and one of the things you said here, and you didn't quite say it, but I'm interpreting it this way, is that you're not saying like go write this long, lengthy email or do this crazy personalization. You're saying if you're emailing people in different locations, get the time zones right and think about the time. So it's all about that segmentation, which is, I think, there's personalization, but without segmentation, you don't have the right personalization. And then there's context, right? Context is really important. Like you're saying, accountants and marketers, obviously they're different people. I guarantee you they care about different things. You're saying talk to them differently, right? Send them different templates.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, super smart. And that's not even hard to do, right? I think it's just like, again,
it's just empathy. It's diligence in segmenting your list and studying your data. Not even very thorough, but just in batches to when you segmented it, and then afterwards It's about empathy. You put themselves in their shoes. You imagine how they want to receive a message, what they would respond to, what would be of value to them. And then you try to do as good as you can for initial outreach. Before of course, it helps a lot when you have a lot of data, a lot of experience before, where you can perfect that you can craft your perfectly phrased message for those types of people. And then when you start following up, you will get into their context more and more, seeing how they reply to you, what kind of words they use, and then you just play the game, and you just be. It's all about empathy. I think that's my strongest point, actually, when I do email outreach.
Show empathy. I like it. Yeah, I mean, I think that is the one thing that differentiates you versus everyone else out there, right? If most people don't put enough time into this and don't think about being empathetic when they're sending this email, so that one kind of mindset shift can be big. So you mentioned kind of doing the research and understanding your audience. How do you go about finding and doing the research and finding information about like what your audience or whatever audience would like?
When you mean when I put together a lead list or something?
Yeah, let's say you want to go target accountants or you want to target designers. How do you find out more information? How do you do your research or homework?
It's I don't have an outline process for it. I don't have an outline process for it. It's basically you try to find articles. First of all, you just check in your own network, basically. Like if you have someone that corresponds to the profile, to the buyer persona you're targeting, just jump on a call with them. Basically, the better you know them, the better it will work, of course. Yeah, but a lot of it's, I think for me, a lot of it's common sense. Like the design agency founders, startup marketers, people from bigger companies, sales development directors from like bigger companies, they have to go through, they're like really fit into a role. They have to tackle a lot. They're like in a fixed role. They have to go through a lot more layers before they can get to a decision. So the sales process also takes a lot longer. You have to clearly outline, like if you target people like that, like a sales director, you have to clearly outline what Salesforce would mean for his organization, so he can clearly communicate it to his superiors who are involved in decision making. I get a lot of lead lists from LinkedIn, and then so basically what I base it on is the role of the person I'm targeting, the company size, the industry, the geography. Like Indian people are also a lot different than American people and British people. Europeans are a little bit more. Europeans are a little bit more conservative. They don't like it so much when you email them unsolicitedly, for example. So for them, you really need to make sure that it's not spammy at all. Like they don't like direct sales talk at all. And from there on, I don't know, just learning curve. I think you keep track of who you emailed, what kind of copy, what kind of subject line, what results it yielded. Like I've had a lot of people hating on me for sending them an email, but yeah, like you just figure out why it was that way. Is it the audience? Was it my message? Was it not relevant to them? Was it the timing? I don't know.
Yeah, so, that makes sense. I think
I don't have an outline process, actually. Just being very thorough, diligent, and again, empathy. I think
it's really one thing you hit on that was really, really important is that it's not that hard to find this information, right? Like you can Google it, you could go to people's LinkedIn. When you're building the list, you get this context if you have empathy, or if you're looking at this part during that time, you will know, right? And like it's very common sense to be like, oh yeah, Indian people, or if I'm marketing to India versus England versus the US, oh, it's different language. Well, yeah, everyone could probably understand English in all three countries, but they speak it differently. They have different values in life. But that's a very common sense. You learn that in grade school, right?
Yeah, like I think the two most important marketing skills that I think are like that really make the difference: common sense and empathy, man. Really.
Yeah, super smart. And I know, and that's, I think those are not things you need an outline for. It's something you need to add those two things, questions, to every part of the process that you go through. Like, am I saying the right thing? Because you might not get, like, if you look too much you send this email out, you send it to accountants, and my open rates suck. What's wrong with my subject line? No. What if you just spoke, Americans, kind of like how you would speak to Americans or to marketers? What if you just kind of framed it the wrong way? So I think it's like that personalization.
Yeah, I really liked the last blog post on the Mailshake blog. It's exactly this point, basically.
Oh, which one is it? I don't know.
So the title is like, I read it this morning. I think it was like, why 2017 is the year of depersonalization.
Yeah.
And basically what the author is saying is that personalization is not so much automating putting someone's name in an email, because come on, man, everyone sees that coming from miles away. It's about adopting a one-on-one approach and really invest in building a relationship, because, hey, and that was his punchline. It was really great, last line, because, hey, relationships do sell.
I think that was my doing. I just wrote that thing like 6 months ago.
Really?
Yeah. It's been we're pretty, well, I do a lot of content production. I do a lot of content creation. So I'm usually like at least 60 to 90 days in advance. So yeah, it's a while ago, but yeah, I mean, that is so spot on about just being empathetic and segment properly, and that brings to better, more accurate personalization than trying to shove it down someone's throat, right?
Yeah, because I think what I did in the very beginning was I just had one big list of all kinds of people, and for me, personalization at that point was, I use Mailshake and I put like first name, last name. I mentioned the company, and so all of these people they were like CEOs, founders from startups, marketers. They would all get the same email, and of course, it doesn't work.
Yeah, and company. Look, think about this, right? You mentioned the company. I know what company I work at. You don't need to tell me what company. I know my name and I know the company I work at, right? So like, that's not personalization when on the recipient side. What's personalization is if you know, as a marketer, what my problems are, right?
Yeah,
if you sent me an article that was like, how to convince your boss, the client, to increase your marketing budget. If you sent me that, I would be like, that is gold, because that's a problem people have. So it's understanding the audience. So, and we could talk all day long about this. I think the audience kind of gets it. So kind of in closing, we talked about a few different things. You talk about segmentation, right? Talk about testing in small batches, right? And personalization, but really through being empathetic and doing your research on the audience. Is there any other key tips you want to share?
In general, like, the thing that works very well for me is using humor.
Okay, good.
So awesome. Yeah, it works in both ways. Like, if you, from your initial outreach, if you put up a sequence after, like, you can add some humor to your follow-ups, and not just like, hey, just checking in to see if you got this, because, like, you know what, like, people get those emails 10, 20 times a day. You're not going to stand out if you're one of those 10 or 20 people. Just put in a GIF, put in a meme. People are going through the email, they hate it. Give them something to laugh about. Like, they will remember you if you do something like that.
Absolutely.
Something else, like, always wear your smile. So that means, like, if people do not reply to you or whatever, don't take it personally. There's a lot of people who do that. It's like, oh, he didn't reply to my last 2 emails. He must hate me or something. And actually, like, if you then send something like, hey, just checking in because you haven't replied to my emails, that's actually, you're making the other person feel guilty that way. So, for example, like, if this person gets a ton of emails, he probably already feels bad for like, probably he started his day off saying, oh, out my email inbox again. If you're then gonna send him messages like, hey, just bumping this up because you haven't replied to my email, he will feel even worse, which is not a great way to start a relationship off. So always be indifferent to what happened before, and take every new email as a new chance, as a new opportunity. Be positive about it. Use humor.
Awesome, man. Thank you for dropping so much knowledge. This has been very, very helpful. So where can people find you?
People can. I write stuff on the Salesforce blog, which is at blog.salesforce.com. A lot of stuff that I mentioned here comes back in all of the stuff I also write about social selling a lot, but it's basically the exact same principle: offering the right automate to build reach, and then be human to build relations, offer value. And then on LinkedIn, just look me up, Gilles DC. I'm always happy to chat with everyone.
Awesome, man. Thank you again. And this has been very, very helpful. The one big thing is the empathy, right? It's like, oh, duh. Like, so this is awesome. Thanks again.